Well, everybody, it is Sunday night live here on Material Issues. This is episode 254. You can believe that. I'm Mark Hershberger of Pop Detective Records over here in balmy South Jersey. Joining me as always, sunny Southern California. He's back from IPO Chicago and looking forward to IPO all over Europe. It's Mr. David Bash of the International Pop Overthrow Music Festival. Good late afternoon, David. How the heck are you today?
Thank you. You got it right. It is indeed late afternoon, but it is indeed not balmy out here. Not for us. It's about mid-60s.
Wow.
And cloudy. So kind of a dreary day outside, but all good inside. You are right. Rena and I are very much looking forward to Europe. And all the IPOs that are associated with it. Of course, our first stop is Liverpool. It'll be our 22nd year at the Cavern Club. So always amazing. Following weekend, we're in Stockholm for 2 days, although 2 full days. So there's I think there's about 25 bands on that one. June 7th and 8th. No, June 6th and 7th. Or is it 7th and 8th? Now I'm confusing myself. It's that weekend, and we're at Encore for our 3rd straight year. Great venue, excellent owner. Love dealing with them. Following weekend, for the first time ever, IPO is in Glasgow. Nice. And Rena and I have been to Glasgow, and we really like the city. And it was kind of a no-brainer to do IPO there because so many bands from that city have come down to Liverpool to play. And we were able to book most of those, plus a bunch more. June 11th through 13th at a venue called the Hug and Pint. Never been there, but it's been highly recommended by people whom I trust. So I think it's going to be fine. And in between, we're going to Milan. Not balmy there either, huh? Okay. So we're going to go to Milan for a few days, which is the 2nd biggest city in Italy. We went to Rome last year, but Rena really wants to go there for whatever reason. So I defer to her on that stuff, unless I have some sort of objection, which I don't. And then after Glasgow, we're going up to north of Scotland in Inverness, which is where the Loch Ness Monster resides. And Rena's really hoping to see Nessie. Which she won't, but whatever floats her boat.
She might get the photo. She might get the photo.
That's about it. That's what she's gonna get. So we're looking forward to that trip quite a bit. Yeah. Other things, soliciting for the IPO compilation, volume 27, and our guest is going to have a track on said comp, which we're really happy about. It's a song I've heard and loved. So not loved. I still love it. See what else is going on. For the first time in several months, I got a new watch. It's a company that's already represented in my collection. The German company Junghans, who are known for their sports watches more than anything. And I saw this online and just couldn't resist. It's a Yes, the Junghans, not competition. That's the other one. Now I don't remember the model name. Oh, it's the sports edition of some kind. It's a racing watch with the racing stripe and the holes in the band. And I love this color. In fact, it goes very well with my other Junghans, the competition. So I've got lemon and lime here.
One on each wrist. You're styling.
Well, it's interesting you should mention one on each wrist because I have another watch on order and it is going to go on my right wrist. It's the only watch in my collection that will do that. And there's a bit of a backstory there too, but we'll wait until I get that one.
Cool.
Trying to think if anything else is happening here. Probably. What do you got going?
I got a big shout out to my friends at Aman's Mediterranean Market on Cherry Hill and Route 38. It's a new Mediterranean market that I've found. The best lamb kebab sandwiches, chicken shawarma sandwiches, and
I love
the
those.
daughter who's number one in her medical class. I think it's Penn Medicine, graduating in January. Turned me on to Schweppes. Schweppes is a very
I know Schweppes very well.
These are bottled in Egypt, and it's
Whoa.
premium sparkling lemon mint soda.
Oh, wow.
And it's the best soda I've tasted in I don't know how long, but holy cow. So I had to load up on these little Schweppes lemon mint soda bottles. But cheers to Almonds Market. I had to shout out to my good friends there.
I happen to have something not quite as cool. Mountain Dew Tropical Citrus Punch, zero sugar. It's carbonated, and yeah, it's a nice flavor. But there's a new Mountain Dew flavor, and I was hoping to get a second bottle of this, but it's called Dirty Dew, and it's basically cream soda Mountain Dew. So it's got a little bit of both element in it. Interesting soda. They finally did a zero sugar version, so I bought a bottle of it, and I'm going to go and hopefully they'll do a 12-pack of zero sugar. I think they probably will if they're doing bottles now. So yeah, so we're both armed with soda here.
Yeah, that's our food wrap up for episode number 254. We've done plenty of ketchup.
I would think,
but I'm still on the search for.
Well, if music be the, I don't know why. For some reason, you're cutting out. Am I cutting out?
No, cut it out. Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, we'll roll with it.
Let's roll.
I don't know if it's on my end or what, but it's okay. You're always coming back anyway. So if music be the food of love, I certainly love this this artist who's our guest today on Material Issues. Known his music for quite a while. Early 80s saw his band 4 out of 5 Doctors have 2 albums released on the CBS subsidiary Nemper Records. And they definitely got a lot of airplay. One thing I want to talk to him about is MTV and how much airplay they might have gotten there, because that was right at the advent of it. So they probably were in some rotation. But I found a copy online of their first album, 4 out of 5 Doctors, but it is a DJ copy, and with it came a press release, which is very cool, and also a photo, if I may. I think I have that in. Yeah, where's the photo? All right. Very cool photo of the band. Our guest is on top there. And he certainly should be on top because he was the lead vocalist and also the primary songwriter in the band. Hey, although there were other members. Hey, John, thanks for joining us. Yeah, we've had John Borak as a guest on Material Issues and also as a co-host.
Remember, John, IPO Liverpool's coming up, so if you want to hang out with me and talk Beatles while we go live from the cavern, please do.
That would certainly be great. Yeah. Anyhow, our guest. So they had a couple of albums, and our guest was in a few other bands in between then and now. We'll talk about that. But recently, he released a solo record, which is excellent. It's called Weight of Early Promise, and here it is. And we're going to play some tracks from it, as well as his previous acts. But, man, I have to say that even now, in his, quote, advanced age, he sounds even better than he did back then. And I don't think there's anybody else, seriously. I don't think there are any other singer, songwriter, rockers who I can say that about. Who still put out albums in their 70s or 80s. While some of them do still sound really good, none of them sound better than they did during their heyday. And this man does. And we're really glad to have him on Material Issues, episode number 254. So without further ado, would you please give a huge Material Issues welcome to Mr. Cal Everett.
Hi, guys.
There he is.
Hey, Cal. Thank you for joining us.
I'm certainly glad to be here. I feel a little bit shorthanded that I didn't bring some exotic soda pop to the show, since that's what we were discussing in the beginning.
Well, hey, we'll give you time. Go ahead, go to your refrigerator, see what you got in there.
When I was playing shows, and still to this day when I play shows, especially solo shows, and I get a glorious lead in from somebody, I'd always had this trepidation about living up to all the accolades that people put on me before I had to play. But I don't think I've ever heard one quite as eclectic as if music be the language of love. Now that's a big cliche pull from
at my festival, International Pop Overthrow, I introduce every band, and I try to come up with something that maybe other people don't. So that's sort of my forte. But
caught me off guard. That was great. So I hope I can live up to the language.
You probably won't, but don't worry about it. Nobody does.
I'll do my best.
All right.
Good stuff. Now, Cal, it's great to have you on here. I have to apologize because I thought we were having Chad Everett on here, and I was working up medical center questions and things. Big difference. Now, it's great because not only am I a big fan of 4 out of 5 Doctors and now your brand new album, but everything in between that I've been listening to as well. But my parents grew up in a small town in mid-western Pennsylvania, right next to a town called Everett. And my oldest daughter, she swears that her first child will be named Everett. So
really,
it's a whole tie-in and 7 degrees of separation to Cal Everett of 4 out of 5 Doctors. But with all that said,
wow,
really thrilled to have you here tonight, Cal. This is great.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's kind of, as I told you, we're going to start from the beginning, and we'd like to ask you where you grew up.
Not concept. We're not going to start at conception.
Yeah, conception.
Some people feel that's the beginning, but we're not going to do that.
So shortly after the womb, we'll pick up the board there.
Shortly after that. Yeah. Where'd you grow
up?
John
Borak, our friend. Wait, hold on a second. Our friend John Borak said, "I thought it was Carl Everett." Are you aware of who Carl Everett is?
Don't know who Carl Everett is, but I've been called Carl, Carol, Kyle. It's. I guess if I went by my full first name, Calvin, many people wouldn't get it as wrong, but only my mom calls me Calvin, and only when I'm in trouble, so I go with Cal.
Right. Now, Carl Everett was a Major League Baseball player.
Oh, you know what?
I
didn't know that.
A few teams, but in the early 2000s, he played for the Red Sox, who went to the World Series a few times and finally won one. And if anyone was going to make that pun, I knew it would be John Borak. So I think that's why he's tuning in. He was waiting all week to have the opportunity to do that. And so John, go ahead. You can go away now.
I could feign that he was my great uncle or something. We can take it from there.
Okay.
It's great. Yeah. So where did you grow up, Cal?
I was born in Arlington, Virginia. I grew up the early part of my life in a little town called Pimmit Hills, which is now the sprawling Tyson's Corners here in Northern Virginia. But it was just one of those, post-war homes that my parents had got. It was 1955, lived there for 3 years. Then we moved to Annandale, Virginia, which was just down the road a piece, also not recognizable anymore. And then I had a deaf brother. My older brother was born deaf and mute. And so we had to move from Virginia to Maryland because that was the closest school for the deaf, which was in Frederick, Maryland. So we moved up to Potomac, Maryland, which is where I stayed until I graduated from high school. And then I moved back to Virginia on my own, and music was involved somewhat in that move.
At what age did you move to Maryland?
I moved to Maryland, I guess it was in 3rd grade, so maybe 8 years old.
All right. The reason I'm asking is Virginia is one of those states where I think, dependent upon where you live, your accent may have a Southern twang or it may not, depending upon that. So you lived in a town, because you don't have one now. I don't know. Did you get rid of the accent, or did you never have one?
Well, I'll tell you, I never really had a thick accent between Virginia and the rest of my family tree is from West Virginia. I never really lived there until now, which is where I live. It was my home, but I always went there because all of my relatives were there. So summers, holidays, we were always in West Virginia. So I never really adopted the twang, although I have found that after a drink or two, it comes out. So.
Oh, is that right? I'll remember that.
I do my best. Or if you're with, if you're with people who have it, it just kind of creeps out of me.
That's true. That does happen, doesn't it?
I hear it a little bit. bit. It's almost.
And all I'm drinking is bubbly water, so that I've got no excuse now.
No, I mean, knowing that you're from Virginia, I do sense a little bit of it. But had I not known that, I don't know that I would have picked up on it.
You don't think you'd ever heard it if I didn't start talking that way? That's much more down Southern Virginia way. We don't have it up Northern Virginia way.
I guess it makes sense that it would be divided by north-south. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Hey Cal, did you grow up in a musical family? Were your parents musical, and that's kind of where you got your little start, so to speak?
It's definitely a huge influence. Both my mom and dad. My mom was a singer, a big band singer in a small town in West Virginia. My dad was a trumpet player and a acoustic guitar player, although I think he didn't start playing guitar until he had kids and we were in Annandale at that time. So, and beyond that, they were the kind of family, like there was always music on. The turntable was spinning, the radio was on, or if they're just doing chores, which is a kind of a habit that I carry on to this day. If I'm cleaning the house or doing just mundane chores, I'll just start singing stuff. They just sang out loud in the house all the time, and there was a pretty big variety and diversity of the music that they listened to. Of course, there was big band stuff, a lot of the American Songbook, because they were kids of the 40s, that was their heyday, Frank Sinatra and all that. But my dad was also a big country fan, loved Hank Williams. That was the first time I ever heard of Hank Williams or any of the early Buck Owens and the country, the country godfathers from back in the day. And that kind of preceded I had an older sister, Tommy, who was probably the biggest influence on me as far as getting me really in cue with pop music, with what was on the AM radio. She was always buying 45s and always bringing them home and always playing them. So that's how I found out. It was a glorious time. You guys probably remember to some degree that middle 60s era where you could turn on an AM radio station. And it wasn't just all this kind of, they weren't segregated into styles of music.
Right. Totally.
You can hear the Temptations, followed by the Beatles, followed by the Rolling Stones, followed by Frankie Valli, all on the same station. And
followed by some adult, followed by some like Mel Carter, for example.
Yes, right.
Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me. Yeah, I mean, right there with the rock and roll. Yeah.
Right. It was glorious. I mean, I didn't really understand it at the time, but I know in hindsight, I absorbed it. I clearly
followed by the Limelighters. I had to throw that in.
The Limelighters.
I love Baby the Rain Must Fall. But
you got some deep pulls there. I think one of the first singles I ever listened to that my sister played for me, and I might have only been 6 or something at the time, was Pat Boone's Love Letters in the Sand.
Oh, wow.
I distinctly remember. And the novelty song about the car, Beep Beep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Playmates. Yeah.
And I remember loving that tune as a kid, but it's a kid-oriented song. So yeah, I had a musical household. Not so much that everybody played. My sister played piano, and it was because my sister played piano and my parents bought her a baby grand piano for, I don't know, it might have been her 10th birthday, and started giving her lessons. That was the catalyst more than anything else, I think, for me, because I didn't get the lessons right then. But I remember very young, just going up there and banging on the black keys and making noise with the piano. I was kind of infatuated with that as an instrument. And then a couple of years later, when we moved up to Maryland and I was in public school, they actually taught piano after school. You could take classes, and it was really weird.
Yeah.
They were free. They were just part of this is what you get. But what they didn't give you was a real piano to play. It was a piece of plywood with about 24 keys on it that was painted white and black with the black keys and the white keys. And the teacher would play, and you would just put your fingers on the board, and then they would say, now you go home and play that on your piano. Bring it back to me next week. It was the oddest thing in the world. I've never forgotten it.
Wow.
That's awesome. Well, did you start playing an instrument in school? I mean, I remember going into elementary school. It was like, all right, somebody, pick out a trumpet or a clarinet or a whatever. I mean, that was kind of what you did. And
yeah, mine was clarinet in 4th grade.
Trumpet.
I picked out a trumpet. Yep. And
I did trumpet in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, because back then they didn't start middle, or what we call junior high, until 7th grade. So our elementary school went all the way to 6th grade.
Guitar was never offered, at least not in my school.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you didn't have a guitar then. You do now, boy. I'll tell you. In elementary schools, they'll teach you just about anything you want to play.
Well, I think sadly, a lot of those music programs are disappearing. I'm watching the local high schools here, and where, I mean, in my high school, we only had 600 students in the high school, but I think 150 of them were in the band, and you had a big band, and they used to have it around here. Now the bands are like 8 instruments.
Yeah.
They just don't do it anymore, which is
I mean, within 5 years, everything's going to be AI anyway, so they're not going to need it.
AI marching band.
It's really a shame.
Stop that. You're being a fatalist. Stop that, David. Yeah, they'll always need us.
But when did like the pop music bug, as far as playing an instrument like a bass or a guitar, or even attempting to get in a band or write music, when did that hit you?
High school. 10th grade in high school. I had been taking piano lessons, very formal piano lessons, since elementary school, and then I got private teachers. Here's an odd story, but it's a good one. It's one I like to tell. I had this teacher who was a field representative of Washington Conservatory of Music from St. Louis, from Washington College in St. Louis. And she was my teacher for a while and got me on this accelerated program to, theoretically, if I had reached this level by the time I graduated high school, I could enter college as a junior and skip my underclass, because I would have gotten that all through her. And her name was Evelyn Ahrens. And I remember she'd come over to the house, and she was very strict, very direct, didn't like playing around. But I was starting to get past just playing classical music, and I'd be playing a Beethoven piece or something like that, and I'd just throw in a jazz lick, or I'd just put something in there to make it fun. She did everything short of slapping my knuckles with a ruler for doing that, but I couldn't help myself. And then I'd go to recitals and do the same thing. And I remember telling my parents, I said, there's something a little off about her. And they just, you're just being a dumb teenager. She's probably fine. I said, she just, and my mom said, after the story comes out, which I'll tell you now, my mom used to say, she always used to talk about leaving. As far as we knew, she wasn't married or anything. But always when she was leaving, she would tell my mom, well, I've got to get back to my girls. And we just thought, I guess she's got some daughters somewhere. Well, it turns out about a year or two into the relationship, I think I was a senior in high school now, and I'm still taking lessons from her. She stopped coming around. And then we read in the paper, it was either the Evening Star or whatever, it might have been the Washington Post, one of the big papers. She had been arrested. Get this. This woman had been arrested for running a multiple woman prostitution ring in DuPont Circle.
Whoa.
In the middle of Washington, D.C.
I just have one question, Cal. Is
no.
that prostitution ring still around? No? Darn.
No.
And what was that? What was that address again?
And she's not still teaching, so forget it. It's all good. So needless to say, the scholarship program and all associated relationships went right out the door. So by that time, I had begun writing. I had gotten an acoustic. I had the luxury of circumstance to have several instruments just be given to me.
Wow.
I had my sister had a friend who had a really nice Gibson guitar that I wish I still had to this day, that she gave to my sister to play. My sister didn't want to play it. She gave it to me. So I taught myself how to play guitar. Then I had another buddy that I worked with the sandwich counter at People's Drug Store. And he had a knockoff of a Hofner bass. It was a violin bass, and he didn't want it anymore. It was a garish color, as I recall. It was like purple and white. It was horrible. But I just thought, bass, I got to have this. So he gave that to me, and I started learning how to play that. And this is where it really started blossoming for me in my junior and senior year in high school. I was in a couple of bands by that time. that played out. We were doing, lots of rock covers because that was the era, 1970, 71, 72. So we're playing them. I remember playing Alice Cooper's 18 for the first time in that band, and Crosby, Stills and Nash, and Grand Funk Railroad, who were my favorite at that time.
Yeah.
So I got in that band, and I was actively writing, and me and one of the fellows in that band, the band was called Hole in the Wall Gang, and there was 4 of us. One of the individuals that was in that band, his name was St. John Hunt. And I don't know if the name is familiar to you right now, but he was the son of E. Howard Hunt, the Watergate burglar. And St. and I were great friends. I spent hours, days at a time at his house out in Potomac, writing, spending the night, partying and stuff like that. His parents were great, loved him. His sister was great. But then the whole, the shite hit the fan.
I have a similar story, Cal. I went to grade school with a girl named Sandy Liddy, and I probably don't have to say any more than that. Yeah. I was brought up in Poughkeepsie, New York, and G. Gordon Liddy was, a congressman from there. Mm-hmm. And I went. And we knew who her dad was. This is well before Watergate. This is late 60s, but obviously we knew who he was.
When I knew Saint, it was in the heart. It was right in Watergate, 1973, 72, 73. And I was there the day a bunch of people came to raid their farm, raid the house.
Wow.
Saint and I got out of there. But anyway, it was in that band. We were writing. Saint and I recorded together. And I had the bug by that time. And the bug really got planted in my ear by my sister. I guess it would have been 1970 when she brought home the seminal album. Yeah, the bug.
Wait, which album?
She brought home the album that would change my life, change my musical direction. It was Emmett Rhodes' self-titled
Holy cow
solo album, where he played all the instruments, sang all the vocals, and that just became my thing.
That's really amazing. I love that album, and I did get to know Emmett Rhodes for the final few years of his life, but you almost that album actually did very well on the charts. I mean, not number 1 or anything, but like top 40 on the album charts. But I don't think I've ever heard anybody say how that album changed their life. It's so great to hear that.
I'm that guy. I swear to God. And I mean, if now armed with that knowledge, when you go back and you listen to this recording and certainly some other things, that you'll hear a distinct influence of a lot of things that I like to do, backing vocals, certain chord changes that are very eccentric that he would do. I just love it. And he put out that album, and then the Mirror album, and then the last one, Farewell to Paradise. And it broke my heart when he stopped recording. And it wasn't until decades later that I found out how screwed he got by the record industry. There was no way in hell he was going to be able to keep up with the production schedule they had him signed to, especially playing everything by himself.
No, he wasn't.
So
I first met him in the mid 90s. I first met him, and I think he may have. I believe he had a little bit of issue with drugs. He was somewhat. I mean, at that point, he was a little bit schizophrenic. He was reminding me of Brian Wilson quite a bit. Yeah. He got better as he got older, actually. And you probably have heard his final album from
I own it.
About 10 years ago, right?
Yeah. I chipped in and bought it as soon as I heard it. It wasn't quite a GoFundMe campaign, but it was, if you'd like this album to be made. And I was very happy to see, the younger generations. Now I can say younger, that they're slightly younger than me at this point, but go in and help him out and do that. And I just regret, because I was out within spitting distance of Hawthorne, California, a lot, because my son lives out in LA with my daughter-in-law and 2 grandsons. And I kept saying to myself, I'm just going to hop in the car. I'm going to go down there. I'm going to knock on the door. I'm going to see if I can't track this guy down. And unfortunately, I think it was right when I was getting hot on that idea, I was on the plane getting ready to fly home or there, and I got the news that he had passed away overnight. And that stunned me. I mean, it hit me really hard. I teared up, and it's just like, oh God, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
But
you and me both.
Yeah. Huge influence. And I still listen to his music.
Wow.
Today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even more so than the Beatles.
Yeah, for sure.
People usually say, well, clearly you were influenced by the Beatles. Well, yeah, to some degree. I liked what they did. Of course, who wouldn't?
Well, almost every musician was,
You couldn't help it.
almost every musician was if they grew up at that
You
time.
couldn't
Yeah,
help
I mean, even if they didn't do that kind of music, but we always ask people, our guests of our age group and maybe a little older, was the Beatles, was watching the Beatles and Ed Sullivan a turning point for you in any way?
It was exciting. I was, let's see, it was 1963, 64. So I was 9,
Yeah.
And I wasn't really playing yet or doing something. But yeah, it was neat watching them on TV, like, wow, look at these guys. And they're young. And it's not like they're not juggling plates or having dancing dogs like most of the stuff you see on the Ed Sullivan Show on Sunday night. I thought, well, that's a change right there.
Yeah, I mean,
Did it inspire you at all to become a musician, or didn't really have that kind of impact?
Not at that time. Not at that time. It would still be a couple more years before I felt like I needed to do this. Like I said, it was high school before it was really in, and by high school it was 1970, so they had already broken up.
Right.
But I can't say they weren't a huge influence on me, especially McCartney. He would have been my favorite of the bunch. And to this day, like if there's a show going on somewhere, my brother-in-law runs an outfit called Bandhouse Gigs, and he puts on these elaborate tribute shows to artists of his choosing, where he pulls in the entire Washington or tri-state community of musicians, guys who would never play together, come from different genres, and he puts them all together for a chemistry to do these tribute shows to people, and it's been a lot of fun. And along the way, of course, he had done some Beatles shows, and that's pretty much where, from first time I did one of the Beatles shows for him, I quickly became, if you want a McCartney, there's the guy to call. You call Cal, you're going to be fine with him doing the part. And I do love singing Paul McCartney, especially the harder edge stuff, because everybody likes to do the ballads and like to do that. I like the edge of McCartney voice, and fortunately, I can slide between the two fairly easily. But I do enjoy that. So to that degree, yeah, I'm pretty influenced by at least McCartney's version of the Beatles and everything he did. I loved his solo album when he first came out with it. Much in the same way, that I was really intrigued by guys who played everything on there. So my early recordings, that's what I did. I just played everything and just said, and they sucked because I was using a reel-to-reel machine with sound on sound and everything degraded by the time you got to the end. But I was happy, as a teenager, I was happy with the progress. I played it for my girlfriends and stuff, and they seemed to be happy with it. The usual guy who plays music thing.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, your early recordings, you're recording in high school?
Yeah.
You're writing some of your own stuff. This is early 70s, so obviously you had very long hair, right?
Very. Yeah. Very. Yeah.
Have a photo you can show us?
Yeah. Just open up the record you just held up.
There you go. Yeah.
Or actually that era in there.
Oh, here we go. All right.
I think I'm wearing a white tuxedo in one of them. I was playing the junior prom for the high school with this top 40 trio I formed with these guys, Jeff Wadler and Dave Walker.
Oh, there we go.
Blue Skies. And we came out on stage, and our opening number was "Got to Get You Into My Life," and we played it as a power trio with no horns.
Wow.
I just wrote up an arrangement of it that worked, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
And were you the lead singer of that band?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you were, Rin saying, show it to us.
Hey, Rin.
You show me yours.
Yeah, I have to ask.
No, Rin Lennon is actually no relation to John, at least that I know of. But she's a great musician. She had a band, an all-girl group in the '80s called On the Air. And she knows how much I love that. That's how I ultimately got a hold of her, because of that music.
Yeah.
And for several years since then, she's had a band called Mono Groove. There are men in that band, but she's the main singer songwriter. Really good power pop.
I have to look it up.
So, Ren, I'm giving you a plug here.
Okay.
Now, I have to ask you, growing up or being from Virginia, grew up in Maryland, and then having success, at least early on in that area, were you familiar with or contemporaries at all with Artful Dodger?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They obviously were signed, one of the first bands out of the Northern Virginia area to be signed. One of the guys in the Doctors, George Pittaway, was very good friends with a couple of members from Artful Dodger. And they preceded us. I think they were signed in like 78, I want to say.
Maybe even a little earlier than that.
Yeah, earlier than that, because I saw them open up for the Beach Boys at what was then the Capitol Center up in Rockville, Maryland. And Artful Dodger opened up for the Beach Boys. And it was like, whoa, that's
Yeah, we had Billy Palicelli, the singer, and Steve Cooper, the bass player, on our show.
Oh, wow.
A couple years ago, yeah.
Unfortunately, I couldn't attend that one. I was doing one of my own festival shows, and it clashed with the time.
That's a good excuse.
Yeah.
It's totally valid.
But that's kind of where I come from. I grew up loving those early 70s bands, and then it included Artful Dodger, and then morphed its way into the early 80s with 4 out of 5 Doctors. So let's kind of get to that point. How do you get into being in a band like that, playing out, and then getting signed your first band, 4 out of 5 Doctors?
Planets aligning is the only thing I can think of. I was pretty much a actively working 7 nights a week, top 40 band guy. I was in this trio. Trios you're going to find out, is the theme of, like, the Doctors may have been the only 4-piece band I ever played in. Everything else was a trio, for whatever reason. But I was playing with this band, and it was I think I just graduated from high school, or maybe had been out for a year, and I was still playing Holiday Inns, Ramada Inn lounges, and doing everything from Perry Como for the dinner set to wild AC/DC and stuff by the time we got to the end.
I want to hear your cover of Round and Round.
And me and my sister dated a fellow in high school, George Hedrick, a very dear friend of mine who I'm still in contact with. He was also a bass player. He was also probably part of the package of him and my sister being musical influences for me, broadening my horizons with what was going on in pop music. But George and I decided we'd get together, and we used to jam with a bunch of friends just on the side, drink beers, jam, play music, just random stuff. And we decided, well, why don't we start a band? And so I put an ad in a paper. Now, there is some contention about who put what ad when and where, because Jeff and George, who were in Virginia at the time, and I'm still in Maryland, swear they put an ad in the paper. And they may have, I don't remember. I just know I put my ad in the paper, and I thought, somehow between these 2 ads, George Pittaway, Jeff Severson, and I, and George Hedrick at the time, got together and started figuring out where we were. And I recall, as Jeff Severson wrote a very, very ridiculously nice post on Facebook today about the record. And he's also been giving a lot of backstory. Jeff Severson was the keyboard player and guitar player, one of the second lead guitar player of the Doctors. And there he is up there in the top right-hand corner, the curly hair. That's me with the kind of longer hair, dour looking fellow. And I came to the audition. He said, well, bring us something that lets us know what you do. So I brought him my reel-to-reel tape of me doing God Only Knows, singing all the vocals and playing all the parts, and said, well, this is what I do. And apparently in a secret meeting after I left, George said, well, okay, this is the guy. We got to get him in here. And so the 3 of us kind of got together, and we were coming from totally abstract places in our writing. I at that particular time, I was writing songs that would have been perfectly suitable on the Partridge Family TV show. It was that kind of pop, that sugary pop sound.
Love it.
It wasn't all I did, but it was what I really liked to do.
Sure. And I want to hear some of that. I want to hear those demos.
I might have some chestnuts somewhere, but well, we did release one single that'll give you an idea. It was called Thank You Now, and I do have a bunch of 45s. I'll get one out to you. I'll shoot it out.
Wow, that'd be great.
You'll get a kick out of it.
I love that sound. Early 70s top 40 is what basically my most cherished music. So
yeah, it's really good. And I was not ashamed to be a student of that. But by the time we were honing, Jeff, we came from South Dakota, And he was kind of in like a progressive rock band, very expansive. You know, I heard some of his early stuff with the bands he was in. I think he's in the South Dakota Hall of Fame for music. I think he was inducted at some point, I seem to recall. And so he was kind of coming from that end of things. He had a much more, I don't know, broader view of music than I had, and was writing certainly more sophisticated songs than I was at the time. And then George Pittaway was a writer who had he traveled a lot over in Asia for a company that he and another pal of his were trying to run a fashion thing with, had something to do with flour sack clothing, I think, which was something that happened back in the 70s. And so he picked up a lot of Asian influence in stuff that he did, and yet merged it. He was a big fan of the Beatles. So he would write these songs that, you know, for maybe the verse, you swear to God, you're listening to a Lennon song. And then it goes into the chorus and it's like, we're driving camels, you know, like what's going on here? But the blend of what he did was very unique. So we were all, and we made demos, and our demos, you know, if we did a 5-song demo, there wouldn't be 5 songs that sounded anywhere near the same. So it took us several years. When we did get together, one thing we knew, there was 3 things we knew. We're not going to be a club band. None of us are interested in it. We've all done it. We don't want to be a cover band. We all write. We want to write and record. And the third thing was we want to get a record contract. So we were very, very directed. We all had day jobs. We didn't need the money from playing out. And we lived in a house together in McLean, Virginia. And we just wrote and we recorded. About maybe 6 months or so into it, we had put another ad out looking for a drummer. We were using a drummer at the time, just at the very, very beginning when we were still like, weren't sure what we were doing. When we became studio rats, we knew we needed another drummer, you know, somebody to hold down the fort. So that's where we found Tommy Ballou. And if I could just say kind of in passing, Tommy left us January 31st of this year. Tommy down the left-hand corner. He died in January. We had been very, very, very close. He had a chronic condition that it was not cool. And he was struggling through it, and it finally got the best of him, I figure.
Very sorry to hear that.
I literally talked to him days before, and it just didn't, I never would have pictured it. But we are, as somebody said to me earlier today, we are of an age, you know, where sadly, people we like and love and follow and are inspired by or are going on. So
yeah, for sure.
So we got Tommy, we got him in. That was the package. We got it all figured out. We started honing our writing in a direction. By this time, new wave punk was on the wane. Punk had come in to solve disco for us, and then new wave came in to solve punk for us. That's the way I think music goes every decade. There's a real blowback. That's what punk was to disco. I think it just the rough edge, like in the 90s.
Well, punk was definitely a blowback, not just to disco, but to corporate rock. I mean, and I love a lot of those bands like Boston and Supertramp and one of your CBS label brethren, Kansas. Yeah, I love that stuff. But you know, the punk band. Well, for one thing, you know, the punk bands couldn't play it. There's no way they could measure up musically to that. So there's probably a little bit of you know, there's a thin line between envy and resentment, and probably there was a little of both.
I think you're right.
But they also, you know, just hated the establishment. Yeah. And the establishment were, you know, the major labels, the whole corporate thing. Punk was not just a blowback against disco, but it was definitely a blowback against those big money arena rock kind of bands.
Yeah, hair bands, we call them. Hair bands.
Yeah, I'm glad. You know, I've never thought it should be an either or. I mean, I love the Ramones. I love Supertramp. There are most people don't love both.
Now, if you're like now, as I go back and listen to everything from that era, even some disco, I'll be honest with you, there's some Donna Summer songs that kill.
Oh no, disco. Yeah, I mean, you know, when I went to college, and you know, I'm a little younger than you, but I started college right smack in the disco era. Well, I'm not saying you're old. I'm just saying I'm younger than you. I'm 15. You're 19. All right. Somehow we both lived in the 70s. I don't know how we did it.
How that happened?
There were 2 factions in college at my college at that time. Disco's great and disco sucks.
Yep.
And it became not only a music thing, but a cultural thing, the way you dressed, the
Yep.
way you spoke,
Yep.
the way you carried yourself.
Yeah.
And I knew a few people who changed from one culture to the other. There was a big disco fan who eventually abandoned it, and vice versa. So, and I agree. I was a disco sucks kind of person back then, but I think a lot of it was I just didn't think it was cool. I listen to it now, and that stuff was a lot of it was really good. No doubt about it.
Well written pop, top 40 music.
No doubt about it.
Beat, So we went through that, and we picked up on the new wave. And when I say we, I think it was more Jeff Severson and certainly George. They heard, I can't remember who exactly, Elvis Costello, Blondie. These records were coming out now. And I remember we had a rather terse meeting, a short meeting, but terse meeting in the living room of our group house there, which would have made a great TV sitcom. One day I'm going to have to sit down and write that. And they Jeff and George kind of came to me, go, look, Cal, we really think this is where everything's going, and we're gonna write this way. We're gonna write these types of songs. We're gonna do this new wave thing, and see how that works out. And it was almost like an ultimatum, but I took it more as a challenge. And so you're gonna have to, you want to stay in, if you want to hang, you're gonna have to write this way. So I probably had my book in front of me, my little notepad and stuff that I was always using. Whatever I had there, I just tore out the spiral binder, threw it away, and said, we're starting right here. I'll just start right now. So I started listening to it all, listening to Blondie and Elvis Costello and all the groups that were out making hay back then. And I just said, I can do this. I will just sit down and I will write this in my own way. And that's we all did the same thing. We all started writing closer together. We finally put out one demo tape that we thought synthesized our sound. That demo tape included Modern Man, Elizabeth, and a song that didn't get recorded by us until much later, a really, really fun song by George Pitaway called Daddy Drives a UFO. And this was our demo tape. And we made a bunch of them, and we sent them out. We always sent out our demo tapes, and that's why in the basement of our recording studio, we had a bulletin board up there, like a cork board, where we would thumbtack in all our rejection letters from every label, every publishing company. And that was our, we'll get you one of these days, we're going to get you. So we had our rejection board up there. And so I know we were sending stuff out, but somehow this demo tape, this one found its way into an office of an A&R department. And they actually called us. We had our phone on the, wow. I'll tell you why it was wow. Their first question, I was recovering from, this was 1979. I had been in a car accident with my wife, Wendy, and I was in the hospital for a while, and I busted up my leg and shattered my back and was kind of laid up. So I was at home. I wasn't working, and the phone rang, and I just answered the phone. And it was somebody from, I believe it was Arista Records at the time, saying, hey, I'm looking for somebody, is anybody there from the 4 Out of 5 Doctors band? And of course, my jaw dropped and my eyes bugged out of my head. Thank God we weren't on like FaceTime back in the day. I was on a little spiral wire to the wall, and I'm just going, oh my God. I said, well, yeah, I'm Cal Everett. I'm in the band. And he goes, look, we got your demo tape here, and we think it's really good. We'd like to come see you play live. And then that was the second jaw drop. We didn't play live. All we did was record. We had never sat in a room and played anything that we did. We recorded it all. We used overdubbing. Jeff became a really good, he was a master of a 4-track machine, which later became an 8-track machine, reel to reel. And he earned his chops and was putting together really good stuff for us. But we didn't play, We just thought, well, can't we just record, get a record contract and do more recording? No, you have to play. So in one way, it's like, thank God, I like playing. I like performing. But we didn't play, but I lied to the guy. I said, yeah. We play all around DC, and he goes, well, is there someplace I could come see you? Yeah. And I can't remember if I named the Child Herald, which was one of the first clubs we ever played, or if we ended up just doing like a rental hall performance thing for them. But either way, that was the catalyst that got us up off our headphones off and our guitars on, So we just set up a live room right in the booth room where we had the studio in the basement. And we just started trying to play them. And it was interesting at first. The songs didn't sound anything like the recordings, but we figured it out. We figured it out. We were very raw, very rough. It wasn't as clean and sparkly and nice as the recorded versions. But in a way, we kind of morphed them into what would be a better live performance anyway, because it was louder and edgier and a little bit more forceful than the recordings had been. And that was how we got started. That just became kind of an endless loop for a while of doing showcases for different record labels. And then Nemperor started courting us. You know, we had Patrick Clifford and Danny Goldberg were the guys. Danny has passed. I think Patrick Clifford is still in the industry. In fact, wow. Todd's the producer of my new record and a sweetheart of a guy and talented as hell. We both decided we're going to look up this Patrick Clifford because he was instrumental in signing the Doctors right after he signed the Romantics, I think, to that label. And they courted us the longest, and we did a final showcase. I believe it was at the Ritz Theater in New York. I'm not even sure it's still there. And that night, we got 3 different offers. We got the Nemperor offer, which we knew was coming. We had Skunk Baxter come backstage,
wow,
to produce us for his label, and I can't remember what the label was for
I'm
the
not
life
sure
at the
either.
time. But he was producing bands at that point, and we were all just, Skunk Baxter, are you kidding me? I love this guy. I love his guitar. So we went with Nemperor out of loyalty. Like, we're going to stay with these guys. They've been with us the longest. They did it. And we got signed, and it was what I call the meteoric rise, a 3-year meteoric rise and fantastic crash and burn, almost in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. This is something I've always been curious about, and sometimes it's fairly clear, and other times it's not. I mean, Nemperor, for people who are watching, was one of the CBS subsidiary labels, along with Epic and Kirshner,
right,
and Portrait and a few others. What determined that you would be on Nemperor as opposed to Portrait? Or, well, I think Kirshner was a little bit more progressive oriented, but I see Portrait and Nemperor and Epic and Columbia itself, and I see a lot of similar minded bands to 4 out of 5 Doctors being signed to those labels. What do you think determined that Nemperor was the one as opposed to one of their other subsidiaries?
Again, it's just kind of they chased us the longest and were, the most interested in what we had to do. And Nat Weiss was kind of a mover and a shaker in the industry still. He had been, I think, back in the day, he was Brian Epstein's partner or lawyer or something. And he was running this label. Now, this was during that part in the 70s. It was like new wave was coming on after the punk movement, but everybody was still trying to be not corporate. So little independent labels were spinning up everywhere. And CBS had this label Nemperor, which before they signed the Romantics and Us was a jazz label. They had Stanley Clark on that.
That's right.
And
was Steve Forbert on Nemperor?
Yes, Steve Forbert was on Nemperor. He got signed probably a bit before we did. And he was more of a folky guy. So I think this was CBS's way of kind of subterfuge about, well, here's an independent label. Never mind, it's owned, operated, funded by.
Yes, all right, interesting.
And it became very schizophrenic then too, because, and I think that it didn't help us that our record kept coming out on different labels. Some of the 45s would be on Epic, some would be on Nemperor, some would be on CBS. It was like, good God,
wow.
Where are we in this mix? In hindsight, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, can we rewind for just 1 second though? Where did this long name 4 out of 5 Doctors come from?
I think I know, but let's see.
Best story ever. Jeff Severson was dating a school teacher at the time, and she taught, I don't know, elementary school, middle school, high school, whatever. Bart Fletcher, rest in peace. They were dating. And we would sit, one of our favorite activities when we were like just writing and recording and sitting around and then starting to play live is we had this big legal pad, maybe 2. And we would just throw out names, band names. And they were from the sublime to the ridiculous. One of them was Razor Sharp Credit Cards, for example. I think one of George's, when he thought we should be a heavy metal band, we're going to call ourselves Giant Slag Heaps from Triton. And I think Bismo was one of our choices at one point, but somewhere on there, and everybody, I know I had nothing to do with it. There seems to be, again, kind of a back and forth about who came up with 4 out of 5 doctors. I think it was George Pittaway. I think maybe it was a combination of him and Jeff. And what Jeff decided to do was take these names, give them to the school teacher, let her take them to her class, and have them vote on the name they liked the best. And 4 out of 5 doctors was the name that the kids liked the best. And we thought, well, they're going to be the arbiters and the consumers. Let's go with that. And that's how we got it.
Now, I would have thought, as soon as I first heard the name 4 out of 5 doctors, I thought it had to have been, it would have had to have been derived from the Trident commercials.
Of course. I mean, the upside of it, or the extra bonus, as George used to say all the time, is look at all the free endorsements we get because everybody uses 4 out of 5 doctors recommend something, and we're already in there. We don't even have to pay for it. So,
did Trident send you a whole bunch of gum or no?
No, we don't have any benefits of having that endorsement. But.
So you get signed by Nemperer, and when does the first album come out?
I don't think the first it came out in January of 1981, if I'm not mistaken. It was supposed to come out in 1980. We were hoping like heck it would come out for the holiday record buying, but in what would soon become a litany of bad decisions, bad management moves. I don't have any sour grapes about it, but it's just true. Yeah. They decided, no, we're not gonna release it when people buy records. We're gonna release it in January, after Christmas, after they spent all their
money.
So they did, and it struggled a little bit at first, but this was also the birthplace, the birthing years of college radio, and thankfully that's where we made our bones. Yeah. We got picked up by college stations like all over the country.
Yeah,
which was just amazing. Like I've got some things in my scrapbook at home. I should take some pictures of my scrapbook one day and send them to you guys. It's real cool.
Oh yeah,
well, better yet, why don't you come on into West Virginia and come to the hills, and I'll show you around.
Sure, why not?
I'll stop on my way to Tennessee to my daughter's wedding next year.
Just let me know when you're passing through, because it's on the way.
Yeah, it's got to be on the way, right? But so that's where I first heard 4 out of 5 doctors. I was a college DJ.
Most people did.
That's where the first time I ever got it, because we got a promo copy in at Kutztown State College, and that's exactly how I heard about it, which was great.
That's it. That was the start of it. So in January 81, it was birthed into the world. 8 months later, my first son would be birthed into the world, and that's a part of the second half of the story. You want to play
was your son conceived but when you were listening to your own band? That's always on Facebook. I like to post.
You're gonna have to buy the book.
Okay, I'm happy to do that.
You have to buy the book.
No, there's a movie. One of my favorite all-time movies is Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which is very campy. It's about a girl group from the East who travel out west to seek fame and fortune.
That Russ Meyer, right?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Russ Meyer.
Right. Russ Meyer, before he was doing, triple X things, not triple X, just single X. But anyway, and they end up playing at a party that was run by Ronnie Z-Man Barzella, a producer. He sees them, falls in love with them. He gets them to change their name from the Kelly affair to now I'm totally blanking. Why am I blanking on this? Oh, we had John Lazar, the guy who played Z-Man, on our show, and I'm totally blanking on this. But anyway, God, this is embarrassing. Anyway, the lead singer of the band, whose name was Kelly, ends up betting a lawyer who gets involved in the business end of things, and he's very, very uptight.
Yeah.
But somehow she lures him into bed. And as background music, she plays their own record. And I often ask on Facebook, like, how many musicians on here have made love to your own music? And I'd always say solo appearances don't count. If you get my
Well, I can assure you that Wen and I did not.
Just wasn't your thing to do that, right?
We had a lot of great romantic interactions listening to America's Heart album when it came out.
All right.
We loved that. And to this day,
that is a great album.
Our go-to records. It's like that was our dating record.
Wow. All right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
There is the first album. Who came up with the album cover concept?
I'm sorry, the Carrie Nations. That was the
there you go.
Carrie Nations. Carrie Nations.
John, if you're watching, please forgive me. Anyway, go ahead.
The art on the record, again, Jeff Severson, kind of the conduit to all things doctors and our creative foundation. His brother, Scott Severson, extremely talented artist. Extremely talented. He's a graphic designer. He's got his own business. He's been doing it for years. And he would sit in our group house because he lived there too. And instead of writing songs, which he did, and he wrote some good ones, he just did these like pencil drawings all the time. And they just, I guess he was doing a form of art that at the time was called photorealism. So you would make a picture so real, like almost like the album cover, that you couldn't really tell if it was a photograph or not. Like, look at the guy's hands there, like. Tell me that's not a picture. Right. So Scott, I think, came up with the concept. I guess I can't remember the fellow's name that discovered the DNA molecule, but I think that's who that fellow is.
Crick.
Yeah.
I think it's Crick, no?
And Scott did that portrait for us, and we went with it. We just thought, this is fantastic.
Was it Watson and Crick that discovered DNA? I think so.
I don't remember.
You got me.
And one of the photos you sent me, Cal, is this signing day or
that is signing evening? Yeah, that's Nat Weiss in the middle. Oh, Jeff got cut out of that picture. I don't know how we got that. Me on the left, George Pittaway in between me and Nat, and then Tommy Ballou there. Danny Goldberg is the fellow just behind Nat, who was instrumental in getting us signed. Our agent, Larry Mazer, in the shiny brown leather jacket is back there. And then I'm pretty sure Patrick Clifford's in that. But that picture is, I got like 4 versions of that, so I'm not sure why that was the only one on my computer to send you. But yes, that was signing night.
First time I saw that, I was like, oh, there they are with James Gandolfini pre I was like, pretty cool picture there.
Very similar, yeah. Very similar.
Another great early promo picture.
Yeah.
Doctors, great photo.
Oh, the skeletons, of course, the doctors tie in there.
Oh, yeah.
Let's play a track from the first album, and you actually chose the tracks or recommended tracks for us to play, and right. I'm very happy to play those. You
certainly can play the Wheel of Fortune and play whatever you like. It's your show.
Well, we'll start with the that's all right. I've only uploaded the 3 tracks you requested. We'll play them in the order in which you requested them. The first one would be from the debut album, Waiting for a Change. Any particular reason you chose that one?
I think it's was one of the most. It was at the time when I wrote that song. It was one of the I thought the best constructed thing I had done for the Doctors, and it was everything was very timely. And I get a lot of requests. Believe me, decades later, I've had people request or suggest that I give this to whoever's running for whatever office. Like, this is a great, theme song for whoever, because it doesn't really take a side, and none of the problems ever seem to change. If you listen to the words, the same problems that we're experiencing in 1980 are the same political problems or the same upheaval that we have today. Only we have tech now to make it even worse.
Yeah,
and we have different players, but yes, the problems are the same indeed.
So that's why it's always one of my go-to songs. It's kind of timeless in its subject matter.
Not only that, but it's catchy as hell. So let's play that. Let's play that from the debut album of 4 out of 5 Doctors. Waiting for a Change here on Material Issues.
Fashion plates and running mates and people in the
Great track.
Really cool ending. I mean, I'm not a musician, so I don't know chords from the hole in the wall, and I don't want to. But kind of reminds me of the ending of "She Loves You." Just putting in that chord that was sort of off the beaten track in relation to the other.
The Beatles used to end a lot of their early stuff with what's called a major sixth chord.
Major sixth. Okay.
That particular song ends with a major seventh chord. So it's
what did "She Loves You" end with?
A major sixth chord.
Okay.
Which is
the same idea, though. Were you inspired? Were you inspired by Beatles tracks to do something like this?
I don't think at this point. Well, how can you not be? It was in our subconscious, but I don't think the doctors during our recording, I don't think we were going for that.
Right.
We were just trying to do what was contemporary,
right,
and yet own our own sound, our own approach to how to do it. And try not to be incredibly derivative. And it was, so it's hard not to if you're chasing a trend, which at that time we kind of were, but we carved our own niche out of it. So you don't want to just directly take.
No, and I didn't think Beatles until that particular ending. I wondered if only that was inspired by a Beatles.
Yeah, I can't say that it was, or if it makes for a better interview, I'll say that it was.
The truth always makes for the best interview, in my opinion.
Well, I gave it that the first time.
Just sounds.
Whose idea was it to pair you up with Alan Winstanley, the producer of?
I think
and other bands.
Nemperer went to certain people. They kind of gave us a choice between people, and there were some producers courting us, because whenever you're signed, producers want to make money and they get a big chunk of change when they get an album deal. And we were given 3 or 4, to choose from, and we had listened to, I think Alan Winstanley had just done this record. Now I bet I'm not going to be able to remember the band. We got the promo copy of this group that I don't know whatever became of them. But we loved the sound of this record. We thought, that's us. So we got to have this Alan Winstanley guy. And of course, he was also doing Madness, and he had a resume of bands at the time. So he was legit. Not that the other people that courted us weren't, but we just kind of made that decision to go with him because of that one. Damn, when I'll remember the name of that band? 2 a.m. this morning when I'm trying to sleep.
Well, let us know.
Wait, these things all.
I'm curious myself.
Yeah. I just saw my brother-in-law, Louis Newmeyer, just chimed in. He's also a musician, a bass player. Wendy, my wife, married a bass player, has 3 brothers that are bass players. So she's surrounded by bottom end wherever she goes. And I don't mean physically. I just mean,
right.
So he just chimed in, and this is true. He always thought the guy on the cover of our first album was Wally Cox.
Well, I can see that. Especially, I forgot what kind of teacher Mr. Peepers was when he was on that show. But he was also on a Twilight Zone episode where he was a scientist who worked with computers. So I think with the DNA molecules and everything there, I think it's not hard to see why you would think it was Wally Cox.
Yeah.
So the album comes out in January, and of course, what a great time to release it. How did the album do in the overall?
Not well. Obviously, here I am.
Yeah.
Particularly well. Like I said, if not for college radio, I don't think we would have had any longer legs than 6 months or whatever. So then touring became the next issue. We were still playing in New York and stuff, trying to support the album as much as we could on the East Coast. And we were writing. I think by the time the first record came out, we had already compiled most of the material for album number 2, should we be fortunate enough to get it, because that's all we did. We just wrote and we recorded. So we already had the first one. We already got signed. We weren't going to write those songs again because those songs were going to be on the record. So we're going to write these new ones. And we started playing. And in the second, maybe the second, but certainly another one of the early bad decisions by the record company and the management, where we got paired on a bill in New York at the Ritz. I said we got signed at the Ritz. It was actually Trax, TRA.
Okay.
That's where we got signed, Trax Club. We played the Ritz. It was more like a big 930 Club ballroom type thing. And somehow we got paired on that with a heavy metal group. What the heck was their name? I remember, but they were not us.
Well, no.
And we opened up for them. And again, the name's going to come to me in the middle of the night. And it was their audience was basically shirtless, leather jacket wearing teenage guys.
Like Winger or something, right?
and we're coming out to open up, and here we are, our sparkly suits and our parachute pants and our new wave look and our skinny ties. And these guys began throwing stuff at us.
Oh my God!
We played.
This is when the chicken wire fences were a thing of the past.
Yeah, unfortunately, we weren't playing in the South where we could have used that. But we were so naive and so silly at the time. We just stood up there and took it. I got hit in the face with a full glass of beer.
Oh my God!
And we just pummeled through our 45-minute set. We're here to promote the record, and we went up in the dressing room, and our manager and our record company people were there, and they were just ecstatic. And I threw a chair across the room. I said, "Are you out of your minds?
Yeah.
Were you watching a different movie than me? That was terrible. What are we doing with these guys?" But anyway, in their infinite wisdom, and of course, again, we're naive, we're trusting, we got a record contract. They gave it to us. They gave us a lot of money. Let's do what they say.
Yeah.
Right.
They decided that it would be a great idea for us to go on tour with Pat Travers and Richie Blackmore's Rainbow.
Some more metal, yeah.
Now get this. They put us on a West Coast tour. And we found out somewhere along the lines, once we had gotten to Seattle, I think is where we started the tour, that our record, the album, had not even been released west of the Mississippi.
Really?
So we're out there supporting a record that no one can buy yet because it's not there. We had just come off a tour in the South. We played a brief tour with Jim Carroll, the poet, musician, People Who Die.
Sure.
We were opening up for him in a bunch of Southern clubs, and it was fun. College towns, fun show. He was a dour fellow.
The Basketball Diaries, yeah.
Yeah, we had to drive from Atlanta to Seattle while, and of course, all the other bands that are going to be on this tour are flying where they're going. And we had to drive like through the night and everything to get there.
Wow.
And again, it was just a repetition of that show at the Ritz. What was the name of that band? It's going to kill me. And we opened up for them, and it was the same thing. Every crowd was the same. They were throwing stuff at our equipment before we even came out on stage. I mean, it was like throwing their personal belongings. I'm pretty sure I got wallets and IDs and stuff. People were just throwing anything they could. So we went from Seattle all the way down through California and then up west to Denver, through Arizona and everything. But by the time we got to the last show on that tour, we weren't playing one song from the album. We gave up all the uniforms. We had just started playing like the last 3 shows. We went up there and played the loudest rock songs we knew. We just wore our torn up jeans and our T-shirts, and we went out there. And guess what? We started to go over. but unfortunately, to what end? No one. Somebody runs out to buy the record going, who the hell are these guys? That wasn't what I just saw, at this amphitheater. So that was terrible.
On some of your on some of the drives, especially the one across country, was there talk among you about, like, this isn't working out?
Not at that time, and we were traveling in separate. I think we had kind of like a caravan thing going.
Okay.
We didn't. I think we were too shell-shocked, naive, and hopeful still at the time that you're paying your dues. You're paying your dues.
Okay.
But we all pretty much knew in our gut that Pat Travers and Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. No, I got nothing against these guys. I like some of them. But we were not the opening act for that band.
Right.
Those bands. And in many cases, we weren't even on the marquee. People didn't even know we were going to be there. And so suddenly they're here to see their guitar heroes. And here's these, fresh-faced, sparkly guys with this music they don't like, getting in the way for 45 minutes of their quaaludes are kicking in, and they really want the other sound. They really want that.
Lord.
So it was terrible. The whole tour was terrible, but it taught us a lot. I mean, it roughed us up, and it gave us a lot of things.
There's always a silver lining. Yeah.
I remember the end of the tour. I think we ended in Denver. The record company called us and said, "Hey, would you like to? You want to continue the tour? You can pick up the ZZ Top tour."
Oh boy.
And I love ZZ Top, but it would have just been more of the same.
Right.
To do with ZZ Top.
They couldn't find one pop band for you to open for? My God.
Apparently not. Again, there was just so many miscalled decisions and things along the way. It was just disheartening. And also coinciding with that exact time that tour ending was on the tour bus. As we're driving, I call Wendy. I can't remember, it was from LA or someplace from the hotel. And I get the news that we're going to have a baby. So now I'm on the tour from hell with a band that we all thought was going to be our future. And now I'm going to have a family. So my paradigm of thought at that moment after that tour shifted considerably. Just with what my responsibilities would be and where we wanted to go and where the band was going to go. We still had another album to do contractually. The record company, to its credit, did kind of give us what we considered payback for. We got to tour with Hall & Oates, and it was a Northeast college tour. And in many of these tours, Hall & Oates was kind of on the end of their career, but they were touring in support of the album that just changed their that Your Kisses
Private Eyes, maybe.
Private Eyes, all those songs, they were dying, and that record shot them back up to superstardom. So at many of the colleges that we were playing, we were as well known, if not more well known, than Hall & Oates because we were on college radio all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that tour was good.
And at that point, the only thing that was being thrown at you was panties by some of the female.
Well,
and maybe the males. I don't know. Do your own thing,
Mm-hmm. So that was a nicer tour for sure. And then I think it was in 1982 we started work on the second and last released album.
Right.
And that was kind of the whole trajectory. And this was pivotal now. Things were really roving. The record company had long since given up on us after the few tours they gave us at the end with Hall & Oates and stuff. And so we were kind of on our own. We got farmed out to, third-party management in the Washington, D.C. area. And we're playing heavy metal clubs out in Waldorf, Maryland and things like that. It just wasn't going as well as we might have hoped. But we did have to do another album. And so you had mentioned Kansas earlier. So our second album was done by Kansas's producer, Jeff Glicksman. And they, because of that tour and because of the heavy metal and because of all the influence from that, the record companies kind of thought, well, you should write some songs that are going more in this direction. And thank goodness George Pitaway had some in his back pocket. So he had written Good Pretender and Dawn Patrol. We actually co-wrote that. He wrote the music and I gave him the lyrics for it. But there's a distinct schizophrenia on album number 2, Second Opinion, where the first side reflects exactly what we had to live with as far as the sound to be on those kind of tours. And the second album, or the second side of that record, kind of went back to where we would have grown naturally had we been put in the right environment, in the right incubator on tours. And so it's a like I said, it's a two-faced record of totally different sounds on side A and side B.
Yeah, and let's play a track from it. You chose Young World, which is the final track.
Right.
What was the impetus for that choice?
I've always liked that song, and we always got a lot of compliments on the lyrics and the innocent nature of describing teenage youth at the time. And it also has an epic ending that George and Jeff, we called it the Guitarchestra. It's this building guitar layers that just get huge and huge and huge. And Tommy's playing these big old drums. And it's got one of the best endings I think I've ever done with a band on anything ever. And also it was starting to lean a little bit towards the way I was going to begin writing some other stuff. This one was taking me a little out of the new wave and going more into a Marshall Crenshaw themed kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know how you describe it for me. I'm not sure what the genre is I'm looking for, but it was definitely going a different way.
Well,
yeah, probably probably a little more, just a little more. Marshall's very much rockabilly influenced, but it's more like just guitar pop.
Guitar pop, straight ahead power pop.
More, definitely closer to power pop.
Yeah, not as much frilly keyboard thing in the background. It's a weird way to describe it, but yeah, it's exactly what it is.
So let's go with that. The coda from the second 4 out of 5 Doctors album,
great track,
which was titled appropriately enough "Second Opinion."
Great title.
It's called "Young World" here on Material Issues. That was Young World by 4 out of 5 Doctors from their second album, Second Opinion. And Yeah, I mean, it sounds very inspired by Marshall Crenshaw, and probably the most salient way would be that the way the vocals were double tracked, very similar to the no the core. God, I'm so inarticulate when it comes to music, but I'll just say the two vocal keys that Crenshaw would use.
Yeah. Wow.
Was that on purpose, or did that just happen organically?
It's kind of like a production technique, doubling. To Beatles lived by it, but they had to, because the recording style back then was not good. So to make vocals pop out, you double track them, and it just kind of became a thing. We didn't do it a lot with the Doctors. We saved it for moments where it would make a difference in a song, like a bridge or the chorus, where it would really pop a little bit. But it was just a technique, recording technique.
Did MTV? Now MTV is happening right around the time I think their first show was in August of '81, and the album comes out in '82. Were you in rotation on MTV with any of these tracks?
Let's see. Let's check the boxes of bad management decisions. We've been through 1 and 2.
Oh my God!
Let's pull back the curtain on number 3. We went to them with an idea. Jeff's brother Scott had an idea for a video. I can't remember exactly which song it was, but we had a video. We went to them going, hey, we should do a video and get on MTV. I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I'm damn close to their exact words were, MTV is a flash in the pan. It's not going to last. We're not putting any money into it. I swear to God.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because like there are no videos for
the only videos that exist of 4 out of 5 Doctors are the live videos from our 2008 reunion.
Right.
So we went to a college campus once in Rockville, Maryland, and again, we all kind of wish we had this, and we had somebody make a video of a really eclectic Jeff Severson song that was really neat. And it had all kinds of props and sets, and it was like kind of really cool. I never saw the light of day. I mean, it was a college students film class thing, so it was just a project for him. And somehow we all walked away from there, didn't even get a copy. But no MTV, no videos, no music videos, no nothing until our reunion in 2008 when we had somebody film it.
Now, what about American Bandstand? Were you ever on that program?
We had a good beat, and they could dance to us, to coin the phrase. No, we were never on that program. Wait, I take that back. I believe one of the songs was played on American Bandstand.
One of the songs was played in the Raider record category.
The Raider record.
Oh, okay.
I think it was "I Want Her" or something, or maybe it was "Modern Man." It was one of those first album songs.
Right.
It's really surprising, though. It's really surprising that really, in the early days of MTV, when the videos were everything. I mean, you guys, we popped up a picture. You guys were a good-looking young band.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
This is like MTV marquee fodder right there. And your label didn't do videos at all.
The Romantics had videos. They put money into the Romantics.
Right. Right.
I think it's just the old adage. It's an economic decision. It's financial. Yeah. They throw bands against the wall and see which ones stick. If it sticks, that's where the money's going to go. At the time they kind of saw the writing on the wall, much of it their own fault by their lackluster release schedule for our record. And they also they also told us one time in a meeting that college radio was nothing, doesn't mean anything.
Oh my God!
And that it doesn't matter
that all the mistakes they were making. It's incredible.
I don't know who was guiding the things back then, but when I can look at charts from college radio, and I started talking about this way earlier in the scrapbook, where I can see our songs coming in ahead of Elvis Costello and Blondie and The Clash. We're either right there with them or ahead of them, or just below them. I go, well, how can you look at these numbers and think they just didn't think it was the future? They just thought college radio doesn't mean anything. It's not going to lead to sales, which is just absurd. REM probably wouldn't have had a career if not for college radio.
Not the one they had.
Yeah, not the one they got. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, at what point then after album number 2, does everything just?
Yeah.
I mean,
we had a meeting. We had another board meeting, as they call it. By the time album 2's out, and we're just, like I said, we're just kind of playing places in Waldorf, Maryland, and a couple of places in Springfield. We're just very, very local clubs. We still had a good following and all that, but I had a child now and was spending my days. My wife worked during the day, and I would be home during the day, taking care of the child and writing and stuff. And everything in my world was different. I'll be very candid here, just briefly, and then we'll move off of this.
As opposed to the lying that you've done throughout the rest of them.
Yes, just all that.
Just wanted to clear that up.
Don't tell it. But it was the band was breaking up. We were dissolving. I had a child. I needed to do something, and I was kind of in the. Let's just say there was a little bit of substance abuse involved at that time, and it wasn't good for me or my wife. And we had come to stark realization that what was going on was not healthy, nor good, nor beneficial, and that we had a child and we needed to change. And so we did. And I sat down with the band, and we just kind of said, look, I just told them flat out, I can't do this the way we're doing it anymore. We've got to make a significant change, but I can't physically do it right now. I've got other problems I need to solve. And we decided to sell all of our gear. We had a big auction. Wow. We sold all of our equipment. And I said, if we really want to continue, we've got to change our sound. We've got to get to where we're going. Sorry, I'm not moving enough for the sensor lights here.
Holy cow.
Although that was kind of spooky, wasn't it?
That was pretty cool, though.
You could do the rest of the interview that way if you want.
Well, maybe in October we'll do another one, because that's my favorite time of year. So
all right.
Get closer to Halloween. So that was pretty much the formal official dissolution of the band, was that meeting, and Wendy and I and our family situation, us just taking a hard right-hand turn from the life that we had, the life that we had been living since we started dating. And we met when we were 18 and 19 years old. So we were committed even then.
Well, clearly you're still together.
So. And as we get to the new record, there's a song in particular called Compromises on there, which is probably the most definitive description of that particular era of what we went through. I wrote it years later, but it definitely was a reflection of that doctor's dissolution and us putting our lives back together in what I call the L7 world, the square world.
Right.
I said, I'm not going to play music anymore. I'm done with this. I'm going to go out and get a real job in the square world. I'm going to raise my kid, I'm going to mow the lawn, and I'm going to do this suburban thing. And I did. And we did. I got a job working at her company she worked for. But I kept writing was the thing. It just wouldn't leave me. I didn't play, and I didn't really have a lot of instrumentation to do anything with, but I just, be in my hand, going to work. Something come to me. I just memory it, I'd memory hole it and keep it in there. Very rarely did I even write anything down. Until years later, when I started I said, this is kind of going somewhere. I'm going to finish this song. I kind of got back into it. Like, I want to play again. I want to do some stuff. And that's when I started the Zip Band. I started doing some performances with my brother's production company, was instrumental in getting me back on the stage again. I had another band after that with some guys that were 20 years younger than me called One Stop, and that would have been in the 2000s. So every decade I kept active from live performance, because I really do like to play in front of people. Recording is great, and I do love the magic of recording and the chemistry of putting an album together, but I love to play. I mean, I love to perform. I really do. And as my wife is fond of saying all the time, oftentimes I get melancholy, I'm just done. I got to quit. And she reminds me, she goes, you quit when you can't do it anymore. Yeah. As long as you can still do it and you're not embarrassing yourself, you keep doing it. So she drives me, and I keep doing it.
Now, Cal, I mean, we've already talked at length about your career, and I know we were talking about maybe playing some songs from the other bands, but I'd really like to get to the new album. But
we can jump.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk. I mean, we could talk for 5 hours. But yeah.
But in the interim, between the Doctors and what you're doing now, you played with a couple bands, One Stop, Zip, Airport 77s, which was fantastic stuff. But here when you talk about continue writing, you had when you and I talked a couple of nights ago with testing out this thing, you wanted to know how I came to find
Yes.
you, and this is exactly
How did you find me? Oh my God, that's the article about my Halloween book in Loudon Now.
Absolutely.
How did you find it?
Well, it completely random. I have a neighbor down the street who a while back was putting out or trying to put out a children's book. And how do I do this? And how and I just started researching online to help her out. And books. And for whatever weird reason, this Loudon link where you talked about this book popped up, and I sat there trying to understand why I know the name Cal Everett, and then I was reading into it. 4 out of 5 died, and it just blew me away. And I said, I gotta try to track this guy down, and that's how it all started.
It's these kinds of amazing circumstances that still blow my mind as where I am right now with this record and the 10 years of recording it, and just the things that had to fall into place at the right moment, at the right time. Me meeting Todd Wright was a chance in a million that was going to happen. We didn't know we were going to end up living, 20 minutes away from each other in towns. And he was a big fan early on and of the Doctors. And that somehow we came together through Ronnie Newmeyer, the catalyst for a lot of my musical relationships, and his production company, Bandhouse Gigs and Newmeyer Flyer. And then it was when I got the email from Norman Steyer, the owner and editor of the paper, who's a good friend of mine. And he said, I didn't want to answer this for you. So he just forwarded it to me. You take it from there. And there we are again. Spooky, right?
Oh, lights went out.
I'm not sure why I didn't do that for the first 45 minutes, but anyhow, and he forwarded it to me, and I just said, this is too random for me to ignore, and I'm not going to.
No.
So I reached right out immediately, did a little bit of homework on you guys after we met. Like, they're legit. Like, this is okay. And what are the chances? What are the chances?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. But you had alluded to before, and you wanted to know how. And I still have to ask you, kind of, is that book still available? Because I'm going to have to get a copy of that.
I just got a royalty check 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Obviously, being a seasonal book, it's got 3 months out of the year where it's got to sell.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens. Nobody's going to use this for a stocking stuffer. It's a Halloween book, so it sells very well, and it's a nice little pennies from heaven twice a year.
Nice. Well, let's talk about this.
Let's do it.
Let's look at the album cover right here. Weight of Early Promise. What's that title about? What's the?
It's pretty literal, as you may expect. It might work on a couple of different levels, but either starting very young as a musician, just being, playing piano and having to go to recitals, and my parents and everything that they wanted for me and wanted me to do. And then when I got into bands, and how there was always this reliance in my life on music and utilizing it to do something. And there was pressure, just kind of casual pressure, parent pressure, peer pressure from other like-minded musicians, friends who, hey, you've been recording since you were 14. When are you going to do something? And then just pressure from me, going, if not to some end. And this, I don't mean to get cosmic muffin here, but why have I not been able to just stop or just not do it? And I've tried, and I just can't. I will write songs just because I can. But I kept thinking there was more to that. So over the 40 years between the Doctors and this, I realized I was curating a bunch of songs along the way that had no place with any other band that I was in or would be in, but they seemed to go together. And I just kept collecting them and collecting them and collecting them. And then I realized it's actually kind of a summation of my life since the Doctors, what I've gone through, both domestically, financially, relationship-wise, my observations of friends and what they've gone through. And it all just started coming together and really crystallized when I got together with Todd Wright. He kind of pushed me to do what he called the Cal record. He goes, we're going to do the Cal record. And the kind of buzz phrase going around in some other media that we've got going is Todd was so excited about doing the record. He saw me do a solo show in Leesburg and said, we got to do it. We got to do it now. It'll only take 6 months, was his quote. That was in 2016. What year is it now?
Yeah.
10 years later, I mean, the project just grew exponentially.
You know what? It's the opposite of a biblical calendar. In this case, 6 months equals 10 years.
Right.
So Methuselah would have only been 20 years old.
Right.
But,
yeah. And I couldn't have done it in any less time, is what I've told some people. I had to live long enough to have experienced this and to had these revelations in my life in order to do it. And some of these songs I didn't write till we were well into the recording phase of doing this. I either finished them up or I wrote them from scratch. So,
and I'll tell you what was really cool is when you sent me the album and you said, do me a favor, I want you to sit down and play it from track number 1 to the last track. Don't stop. You said, don't get up. Don't listen to the whole thing and that's what I did. I told you, I promised you I would. And, the whole album really, really blew me away. Not only the quality of the songwriting so I'm a lyrics guy too. So I love the lyrics. And, David and I had mentioned before, 40 something odd years on from first 4 out of 5 Doctors album. And your voice sounds better now.
it really does.
Then
we're both in agreement on this, and I'm sure other people would be too when they hear it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
How is it? You obviously took, substance abuse issues aside, you obviously took very good care of yourself.
I did. And I learned there was two factors that had to do with when I was in the Doctors, I could sing, but I didn't know how to sing. You were just a shouter back in the day. You just bellowed until you couldn't talk after the gig was over. And I stumbled upon a cassette tape that a friend of mine had given me of a very famous LA.
Ooh, spooky.
Feel free to do the interview.
I'm going to hold a flashlight under my head here in a minute.
It's actually pretty cool looking. I might go with this.
With the Halloween theme of your book,
right?
Why not?
So where was my mind right then?
Well, your voice shouting.
Somebody gave me this cassette tape of a very famous LA vocal teacher. I think he did Michael Jackson, Jackson Browne. He was an older guy. He was like in his middle 70s to 80 years old. And I can't remember his name right now, and I wish I could. And I had this tape, and it was literally just a recording of a session he was doing with an opera singer. And he was talking about things I had no idea what they were, but I just kept listening to it, listening to what he did and what he made this guy do. And I thought it was all about mechanics, breathing and diaphragm and things I never thought of, and the upper palate and all this gobbledygook I won't bore you with, but it changed my life. It changed my singing style. It changed the way I protected my voice. And then when I was in a couple of those bands, Zip and One Stop, I could do anything. And I never walked away from a gig hoarse, ever, not once. Wow. Because I just learned you can emulate, a sound without blowing your throat out. Like I routinely sing the song "Oh Darlin'" by the Beatles in most of the Beatles shows I do. And it's, it sounds just like McCartney. It's like, and it sounds like I'm tearing my throat up. It's the most painless thing in the world because it's a trick. I learned how to make the sound without blowing my head off. So,
I think you could become rich if you sold that formula to other musicians.
I should be a teacher. And the other coupling factor was I spent 19 years. I just quit this band 2 years ago. I spent 19 years in kind of a semi-nationally touring Beach Boys tribute band, to where I was the high, not the falsetto, but the high tenor part, like the Carl Wilson part.
Right.
You sing for 2 hours Beach Boys music where you're basically just holding ba ba ba's or ahs or oohs or whatever, and you got to change the way you sing. You can't sing it like a lead singer. And so that was the other factor, and it just made me better and better. And when I started recording, I am kind of listening to myself going, I can't even believe that's me. I just don't believe it. But I took care of myself. I learned what I was doing, and thank you, God, I can still do it. And as Wendy is fond of saying, you will do it till you can't.
Exactly. Which is
yeah.
the way I feel about my music festival.
Yes.
I mean, there have been times over the years where I've been frustrated when shows don't draw well, or if bands drop out that have been scheduled. And I'll say to my wife, I can't do this anymore. And she'll say, no, you're going to do it until you can't, until you really can't.
Here's to the wives.
Yeah. So, and I'm glad she's taught me.
It's a rest if it wasn't for them.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, I'm very glad that she's talked me into
me
it.
too. Me too.
Now, you sent me the album as well. Thank you so much.
But you're going to surprise me.
It blew me away from moment one. And so we're going to play the track that contains moment one. It's the first track on the album called Older Now,
Fantastic.
which, of course, we all are.
Yes.
What inspired the title and the lyrical content of that song?
This would have been when Todd and I first started recording the record. This was when he said, well, show me what you got. This was the first song I played for him. What I didn't bother to tell him at the time is I hadn't written it. I hadn't finished it. I had one verse, and it was a verse I had written 10 years before when I had small children, and I remembered the feeling of being a dad and having a family and things, the pressure of having to have a suburban life and having children that you were responsible for. And so that's where the first verse came from. And then after I got with Todd, I figured out the chorus. I wrote all the lyrics for the chorus and the extrapolated verses that just kind of carried on the theme of I wake up this way, I go to bed this way. And it's always kind of the same things on my mind, but there's a beauty to it.
And there really is a beauty to this song. It's a wonderful track. And let's let everybody hear it. From the new album by Cal Everett, Weight of Early Promise, the number one song, the first song on the album, Older Now, here on Material Issues.
When I was young, I had a lot of time on my hands, thought about things, had dreams, and I made lots of plans. Somehow they all got away from me. And nowadays, I've got a doubt for every hour. My head aches and my stomach sour. I'm restless and I'm losing power on the staircase to my ivory tower. I don't know what I'm after. Somebody said it's like laughter. You lose it the minute you catch up. I'll bet you you're older now. When I wake up, I've got a lot of kids in my bed. They gotta have things, need clothes, and they've got to be fed. Sometimes it all gets ahead of me. And nowadays, I've got a doubt for every hour. My head aches and my stomach sour. I'm restless and I'm losing power on the staircase to my ivory tower. I don't know what I'm after. Somebody said it's like laughter. You lose it the minute you catch up. I'll bet you you're older now. Older now. You're older now. And I wonder how many clouds am I under? I know that there's gotta be sun there somewhere over me. Now when I lay down, I got a lot of thoughts in my head. Know that I'm not gonna sleep, just gonna lay here in bed. Seems like it's all trying to bury me. And nowadays, I've got a doubt for every hour.
That was Older Now, the first song on Cal Everett's new album, Weight of Early Promise. I'm a huge fan of adding vocals in a refrain, and so I was so glad when I got to the refrain of that and I heard that. It's like it always blows me away.
It was fun. It was fun to do.
And I mean, the song and most of the songs in this album are very reminiscent of the sound and recording technique of the 70s. And I hear in your voice, one person that I think I hear the most is Billy Joel. I don't know if you had any inspiration by Billy Joel or it just worked out that way, but
pretty much just worked out that way. I mean, I liked Billy Joel as a prolific pop hit songwriter, but he wasn't somebody I sat down and listened to a lot.
Right.
But you couldn't avoid him. He was on the radio every time you turned around. He was like the Elton John of the 80s and 90s when Elton John owned the 70s and early 80s. I liked Elton John a hell of a lot too. I listened to his record more than I ever listened to Billy Joel, but I appreciated Billy Joel. You can't knock the guy's just output and sheer pop talent.
For sure. I mean, there are a lot of more rock oriented people that don't think much of him. But I mean, his songs were hooky as hell. And if you are a lyrics person, which I'm not, but if you are, certainly, they were top shelf a lot of the time. So,
which I am. And the first time I heard this song and played it many times, I love the line, I wonder how many clouds am I under? That's a great line. It's a great rhyme. It's a great lyric. It really works well. But I want to make sure everybody knows the brand new album just came out 2 days ago. Weight of Early Promise. Along the bottom of the screen's been scrolling CalEverettMusic.com. Everything you want to know about the spooky Cal Everett.
I'm so glad you did that.
You did have to write the management.
It's going to be available through the website there, but all the usual places from Amazon, Bandcamp. Of course, you can hear it on Spotify, all the normal places. But check out CalEverettMusic.com for all information concerning the album and all things Cal. But that first track, Older Now, just absolutely killer.
Well, now here's where I get very curious because you opened the show saying you're going to surprise me with what I'm just waiting. I'm dying to hear what your next pick is.
Yep.
All right. Well, I mean, something that's in some ways the antonym of Older Now, the fourth track on the album, Teenager's Belief. Where did that come from? I really like that track.
It's definitely, although not literally time frame wise, but it's definitely me and Wendy and when we started dating and a lot of the rituals and things that we had. And again, having gone through the period of time, because this would have been a song I started writing at the end of The Doctors and then revisited older and finished it off. So it had grown a little bit. And it's pretty much about me and Wen and how we got together and how innocent and naive we were and how, things, at least for the first pass right in the beginning didn't work out as good as we might have hoped, but we made up for it later. And there's songs later on the record that make up for that song. So there's a balance to the force, my friends.
That's wonderful. Well, all right, let's let the world hear it. Again, from the new album, Weight of Early Promise by Cal Everett. Track number 4 on the album, Teenager's Belief, right here on Material Issues.
Young pups in a pub, one hand and a glove, one proof of the love that bear the label of the bottle. If it comes off in one piece, then love will not cease, and they sigh in relief. A teenager's belief. A teenager's belief.
Some awesome chord changes right at the end.
Absolutely.
That song resonated with me. I mean, again, I'm not a lyrics person per se, but occasionally they get through. I was a teenager. My whole teenage life was in the 70s.
Yeah.
That song is very 70s inspired. I hear a little ELO in some of the production techniques.
Yeah.
and
Not intentionally, it just accidentally ended up sounding like that. We thought so too. It's like, God, that sounds a lot like
which is for me is like heaven, you know. But are you familiar with a band? You mentioned Arista is courting you. On Arista from, I think it was 1976, called The Movies.
The movies.
The Movies. You ought to look up that. You ought to look up that album. A lot of what you're doing reminds me a lot of that band. So
well, now I definitely want to hear it.
yeah.
Yeah.
They had a minor hit. They had a minor hit called "Dancing on Ice," which happens to be the first track on their
Movies.
Self-titled album.
I remember a band called
check out The Movies. The Movies, yeah, as spelled as it sounds.
Yeah. The band. I'm reaching way back, and we're not going to go into this conversation again. The band was UFO that we opened up for.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
The first heavy metal band. That's what sent us down the bad track. Oh, right. Continue.
No, I mean, that track right there has so much going on in the background. So many different and varied background vocals.
Yeah.
Just awesome. I mean,
I'm a student and devotee of background vocals. I just love them. I think they add texture. I've been accused of throwing in the kitchen sink more than once on songs, and to some degree that has been true. But I find really good sounds when I do that, and then sometimes I'll go and edit it out. Well, that's not exactly true.
Sure, I mean, whatever works. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes more is more. You know, depends on the artist, the song.
I think I've got both. I've got massive excess on this record, and I've got very simple and pure voice and piano. So I'm going to stick with my balance to the universe theory.
well, as our good friend Terry Draper of Klaatu used to say, anything worth doing is worth overdoing.
There you go. That should have. Unfortunately, he passed. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Good pull.
Yeah, go. Really.
The movie.
Yeah, I actually found a test pressing of that album on eBay, and I collect test pressings. So it's like, oh wow, okay. Naturally, it wasn't very expensive because nobody'd heard of the band. But I'm trying to actually find someone from the band to be a guest of ours, but haven't been successful yet.
Well, maybe they wrote a Halloween book.
Anyway,
one day you'll stumble upon it.
Yeah, well, that's Mark's job. Mark seems to do a better job than me on stumbling upon people. But every now and then I get inspired. I'll listen to an album that I haven't heard for a while and say, I wonder what these guys are up to now.
Right.
And I go to Facebook usually right away and hope the person's name's not John Smith, and try to find them. There are a lot of interludes on this album. Now it's what are there 22 tracks, some of which are under a minute. What inspired you to do the interludes? Because some bands do that, and
I wanted some of the ones that are more like full interludes that are like piano with string quartet. Those were what I like to call nuggets. It's like songs that I would continually play when I sat down at the piano because I like the melody or I like something about it. But I never put words to it, but I didn't want to lose them. And I thought, I really like these and they're melodic. And as we started growing this record, I began to visualize that what I really want is to get from the first song to the last song with barely a breath in between. I don't want a distraction. And that's when I started thinking it's going to be a concept record like we used to do back in the 70s or even in the 90s. People did them where it's a journey. And there's different parts to the journey, like the electricity going out and things like that.
I love it. It's great.
So I wanted to use those written pieces that I had, and then I love string quartets. I love it. So, and I've gotten pretty acute at scoring them. Like, where I can't play any of those instruments, but we found people who could play what I had come up with. And then the other things where there's just kind of like sound effects or bits pulled out of a song and then affected. Again, it's for the journey. It's for the travel. And also, if I put it in there, I put it in there intentionally because it's drawing from something to lead you to something else. And it's part of the story or the overall feeling you should have when you get to certain points in the record.
And I highly recommend doing exactly what you told me to do, Cal. And anybody who's interested in this record, pick it up and listen to it start to finish.
I tell everybody the same thing. I say, that's all I ask.
On, man, I laid back. I plugged into my CD player and I was gone. It took me back. I mean, I haven't really done that with a lot of albums in the last, 30 years. I just haven't done it because I did that in the 70s. And it took me back to the time in the 70s when I rushed home and put that album on and played it start to finish without an interruption. And you got
with headphones. Yeah.
Well, then my job is complete.
Your job is complete.
And just so you know, Cal, I had sex to the record a few weeks ago. No, that's a lie. I didn't even have solo sex to it. But,
he got 32 seconds into Older Now and it was over.
Yeah.
32. No way. More like 16, half of that. Anyway, to show people that the quality level on this album does not diminish with as the album goes on, I want to play one of the final tracks from it. And I wonder, the title is also the title, although the Beach Boys have periods in between the words, the first word. Help is on the way. I don't know, you probably never played that in your Beach Boys tribute band. It was an unreleased, only showed up on bootlegs, a track from the early 70s that was a pay-in to the Beach Boys health food store that they owned called Help. And but this is a track called Help is on the Way, and I think it's great. So it wasn't inspired at all by the Beach Boys song or title?
Not at all.
Or Little River Band, for that matter.
It's very much life, taken from my life and Wendy's life together when we had moving into the suburbs and the trials and tribulations of changing your life and getting things done that way. And yet with a much more hopeful outlook. That's why it's near the end of the record. There's a turning point in the record that's intentionally so, like a bunch of clouds right here. And then it's, things get brighter as you begin to understand as you mature, as I matured, I grew, I started getting it, okay, this is what it's all about. And that's every minute of where that song came from.
And I think I even though I didn't, again, I'm not a big lyrics person, but I sensed the optimism, and I think that resonated with me.
Yeah.
All right, so let's let everyone hear as evidence that the album stays strong all the way through. The second to the last track on the album, Weight of Early Promise by Cal Everett. Help is on the way here on Material Issues.
Hey!
You
And
know,
there-
I was thinking as I was hearing it this time, you know, with maybe a slightly different production value, that song could have been a single for Ambrosia, you know, in the late 70s during
Yeah.
that on their album With How Much I Feel.
Yeah.
Not so much their first two albums, which are total prog pop.
Right, got it.
And yeah, I hear a little bit of David Pack's voice in yours there,
Oh.
and that's a total compliment
It
because I
definitely
love
is.
his voice.
Definitely is.
So
This,
I
the
I
whole
imagine
wonderful production though. The just really well done. The production value on this
Yeah.
thing is
Well,
really-
that's definitely 100% due to Todd Wright and his partner, engineer friend, and also producer Ethan Menser out of
Yeah.
Philadelphia. They have a working relationship with a publishing company, and they do a lot of music for ads. And Todd's a great songwriter in his own right, and Ethan Menser was with the Click Five. In fact, they've started
wow.
another tour just this past year.
Do you
so
know
he's
that the Click Five played my International Pop Overthrow Festival
Yeah.
in Boston,
So
and it was really great to see those. They did a cover among their really great original tunes. They did a cover of "I Got You" by Split Ends, which was
I did that. I did that in a tribute show myself. I love it.
oh, you have well. It's nice to see guys in their early 20s, and this was back in 03,
Right.
but still, even then, guys in their early 20s knowing that song was obviously very cool.
I'm happy. I take it as an extreme compliment that you feel that the record, and I do too. The record ends just as strong as it starts, and it was my goal to make sure there was movement in the record, there was ebbs and flows, but that it never got tiresome. Like eating myself and repeating. Oh, I've already done that song. I try to make every song as different as I could, yet held together by the continuity of the production and my voice and the way the story was told. So the fact that we've got from the beginning to damn near the end here and just a little over, holy moly, it's been 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's good. Good. That's a testament to good conversation, fellas.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah,
As I said, the whole album is so well put together. It's extremely well written. The production is fantastic. I mean, a lot of albums you hear, they got a lot going on, but it gets lost in the mix. This doesn't do that. You hear, and that's why you got to keep hearing it again and again, because I got to pick that up again. But start to finish, it's just really, really well done, Cal. And
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Very
Thank you for having me. And man, am I glad that you chased down that Halloween book for a friend.
So am I.
Because
And by the way,
be here today.
I hope I'm correct in this, but beyond the new album, people who are 4 out of 5 Doctors fans who have lamented that those albums were not reissued on CD, well, lament no more, because
You've got one.
this is a package. Yes, thank you so much for that, Cal. Yeah, this is a package that contains both albums.
Right.
I assume you put this together, or did somebody else?
We did. The Doctors put it together when we did our 2008 reunion
Oh, wow.
show. We wanted to digitize the record. We cleaned up some of the sound. We remastered it a little bit, added a little bit more bottom end. And yeah, because I mean, the record, and we just, we had a brief moment of, oh, they're going to come after us. No, they're not. And so we just said, it's our music. We wrote it. They don't care about us. Sony Records bought all that stuff 100 years ago, and they're not going to bother us. So we were happy.
It's available for purchase on your site?
It is not available. That I gave you the last copy I personally.
Oh my God!
Oh,
sorry. In that case, sorry everybody.
The ran out.
If anybody's listening, just because I made that faux pas, if you're listening and you want a copy, I'll make a CDR of it. I can't do the artwork.
I am going to put all of the music in a chronology on my website. All the Doctors records that will be digital and downloadable and for free. So
nice.
Wonderful.
The website is caleverettmusic.com.
It's
scrolling across the bottom.
Don't forget it.
Definitely buy this record. Absolutely. You will not be. I mean, certainly if you like what you heard of the 3 tracks we played, you're going to love the record. And yeah, as Mark said, and Cal feels the same way, definitely listen to it all the way through.
It's my only qualifier. And if you want to throw it in the trash after that, at least you gave it the best way you're ever going to listen to it.
No, nobody's going to do
It
that.
was a great interview. Thank you, Jim.
I'm glad,
Thank you.
I'm glad you agree. And Cal, thank you so much for appearing on Material Issues. I hope to see you in August.
Yep. I'd love
and-
to play that show, and we'll make it happen.
All right, wonderful.
And-
Have a great. I guess have a great night. It's 10. It's
We will.
10:20 there.
My wife's been downstairs for 2 hours and 15 minutes
Uh-oh.
at the bar. I'm not sure what I'm walking
Hey,
into.
Cal.
Uh-oh. Oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, that could be dangerous.
No, she's responsible now. So
All right, good.
Cal, it's been an absolute pleasure.
thank you, Mark.
Thank you for responding to the email all the time ago and agreeing to be on here because this
Absolutely, this was delightful. Thank you.
was really
And,
wonderful. Fantastic.
If I'm ever up in Jersey, Mark, I owe you a lunch because I
There you
got
Aw.
a lunch from David, and I feel like I should blow by there on my way to New York or something, and we'll have lunch.
Anytime you're passing through, you make sure you let me know. We'll get together. And as I said, on my way to my daughter's wedding in Pigeon
Oh
Forge,
yeah.
Tennessee, I'll stop
Look me
by.
up.
That'd be great.
Just
Oh, that
drop
would be
a line.
great.
If we
Yeah.
can spend a day or so together, that'd be great. Got plenty of room.
Thank you so much, Cal.
Thank
Best
you.
wishes
Thank you,
for the
Cal.
album, and we will talk to you soon.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Have
Thank
a great
you.
night. Thank you, Cal.
Yeah, that was a
There you
that was a fun interview. Yeah, the 2 hours and 20 minutes really passed by quickly.
I told him a couple of days that we were testing. I said, we'll go for an hour. Sometimes if the conversation's good, it might stretch on for an hour and a half. Then I referenced the Brad Rosenberger interview that went on for 3 hours.
That one could have gone on for 8 hours.
Both
I
went,
mean,
whoa, but that's
that-
what happens. We get into
that was pretty amazing. Yeah.
a great artist, great conversation, great music, and time just flies by. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope people who tune in can tell that we really love doing this. We're only doing this for the love of it. We haven't monetized the site. We have no interest in doing that.
Yep.
We just these are people whose music has inspired us, and we want to be able to turn other people onto this music because we know they would really like it. And
Absolutely.
it's fun getting people who are current. It's fun getting people from the past that may not have been interviewed for several years, whose music has been forgotten. We try to resurrect it. We've gotten as far as, because of his appearance, John Jones of the Fringe Benefit, we got his CD released to be their album from '77. Released on CD via Cool Cat Music, and we thank Ray G and Ketty for that.
Thank you, Louis.
Oh yeah, our pleasure. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes, indeed.
So we've got quite a bit coming up now, and some weeks where we're not entirely sure what we're going to do, and the next couple of weeks are like that. Let's talk about the date that our next guest is scheduled on, and it might be that we're going to move him a week later. We'll see what happens with that. But next week on Material Issues, I mentioned MTV to Cal. There was a song that was in very heavy rotation on MTV early on called Belly of the Whale, and the name of the band was Burning Sensations. And I don't know that I would have heard that song. I think our station, our hip station out here in LA, K-Rock, was playing it, but I really heard it most on MTV. And one of the members of that band was a gentleman named Morley Bartnoff, and he eventually put together a band called Cosmo Topper, who played in LA for years and years. You know what, Tim? Well, I'll look through my porn collection, see what I can do. Not that this person on 95 was a porn actress. She wasn't, but
No.
I figure that's as close as I'm going to get to finding another escort. But we'll do what we can. And anyhow, all right. So Morley did put together a band called Cosmo Topper, who played for many years in LA. And he will be our guest on Material Issues next week or the week after. We're still we're ruminating here, but he's also a huge student of the LA music scene. He got to know the band Spirit very well when they were playing in LA in the 70s and early 80s. He could probably tell you more about Spirit than than Spirit can, because they probably did more drugs than him and they don't remember any of it. But Morley does. And so he'll be a very delightful guest. So he's on the whichever week he's not on, whether it will be the 10th or the 17th, we will be doing a show with just Mark and me, playing music from current releases, and I've got a lot of things to play, and doing a Beat the Bash. And that's our variation of Stump the Bash, where people come on and challenge me basically to see if, to also have fun playing. But
it's the same kind of format as Stump the Bash. However, we do the questions on the screen to be seen, and then people text the answers to me, so nobody hears other people's answers, and you score points by being correct along the road of the answer. Clues.
Those of you who haven't seen one of those, you'll actually find it quite fun, I think, and maybe enlightening, depending upon how much you want to know about 60s and 70s top hits.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah, indeed.
Nature's Way, probably their most famous song. That and I've Got a Line on You.
Yeah.
Also. And not for the best reasons, their song Taurus, which has an intro that eerily sounds like the intro to Stairway to Heaven, and there was some legal action taken against Plant and Page, and I guess maybe I forgot who else was involved, and we don't have to talk about that, mainly because I don't even know how that turned out. I think it was determined that it wasn't. I don't remember if it was or it wasn't. Maybe.
No, I thought it was determined that it was.
It was.
It was
Randy Wolf's estate and Ed Cassidy, or who wrote that one? Was it Andy's, or was it even Jay Ferguson, who
I don't
had a big hit with Thunder Island?
I think they settled quietly outside of.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can hear. And again, so much of this stuff, I mean, we could talk about this for hours too, but
sure,
so much of that stuff, I can't imagine that Plant and Page heard Taurus and said, you know what, we really should rip that off. That intro is so freaking cool, and we can do so much with that. If indeed it happened that they did hear the song, I'm sure it was an unconscious thing.
I don't know. When it comes to Zeppelin and Plant and Page, there's a lot of instances where people have said the track sounds eerily like this from the 50s and the 40s, and they seem to have mined the catalog of a lot of people.
Well, no, you've got a good point. And Whole Lot of Love, that song seems like a complete ripoff, and I can't remember what the Small Faces track was, but
yeah.
And that they would have definitely heard. There's no doubt about it. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe it was intentional. They figured out who's going to care. Yeah. No one's going to care. They'll be flattered if anything.
Yeah, sure.
But apparently the estate of Spirit did care.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so Morley will either be on the 10th or the 17th. We'll let you know as the week progresses. And the other week will be playing music, playing Beat the Bash, etc. Right. The 24th, Sunday the 24th, will be opening night of IPO Liverpool at the world famous Cavern Club. And we will do what we've done for the past few years. We will do the show live from the Cavern. First, it'll be Mark, and hopefully John Borak will join in, and they'll talk about whatever they want to talk about. And I'll join in a little bit later when it's time to interview some bands, or when it's time for a band to come on and we can have their live performance go out in the world. So we always have fun with those. We do a tour of the Cavern as well. You'll enjoy that quite a bit. So that'll be on the 24th. The open question is, what are we going to do with the 31st and the 7th? Because the 31st is the final show at the Cavern. We don't need to double up. So the question is, will we do something after Rena and I get back to our hotel room, or will we just let it go? Similar situation.
We might take a night off.
We might take a night off, but then we have a similar situation on June 7th when IPO Stockholm will have its final day. And, we could do something live from Stockholm. We could decide not to. We'll figure it out.
We might do a pre-recorded show with David and I, just playing some new music and run that pre-record on that night.
That's a good idea. We could find a guest to pre-record and run that.
Yes, we could. Or we could get Paul McCartney on a pre-record and have him tell us, no.
Nah, screw him. Even if he's dead.
The thing is, you never know what we might do. So stick around
and by the way, I was talking earlier about I showed off early in the program the watch that I just bought, and I'm going to be receiving another one shortly. And all I'll tell you about it is there is a connection to Paul McCartney in this watch, which is the main reason why I decided to buy it. But we'll talk more about that next week. Sorry, so we've got the 31st and the 7th where we're not quite sure what's going on. But then we have the 14th, and Mark, tell us about what's going on there.
The 14th will be fun because we should have all 4 members of this band. They are a Wicked Cool signee, a Little Stevens band. They're all over Sirius XM. They just got done with the Sirius XM Little Stevens Underground cruise, where they played with tons of bands on the week-long cruise. They were briefly made an appearance on Pop Detective Records early on to get them some exposure on the Underground Garage, which they ended up having the coolest song in the world with the Pop Detective stamp on it. But good friends of mine, originally some of them hailing from Youngstown, Ohio, near the Deadbeat Poets, Steve Bader's, all those guys, Blue Ash, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Put them all together, you got the Jelly Bricks. The Jelly Bricks, all 4 of them.
Goes way back with me as well. They played early IPO festivals in LA, and then they played other ones in different cities, New York being the most recent. Great that Wicked Cool found them. They certainly deserve to be on that prestigious pop label.
Yep.
Really nice guys also, and it'll be a pleasure to have them on. I will be doing my part live from Inverness, Scotland.
Inverness, Scotland,
where we might very well run into the Loch Ness Monster. We'll see what happens. Maybe Nessie will come out of the lake and infiltrate our hotel room. Who knows?
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah,
it certainly would. But having the Jelly Bricks on, will be a lot of fun, and we're very thankful for that, Mark. That you
it's
get them.
It'll be fun to have the Bricks on.
And let's see. Now I'm looking for an album to show, and where the heck did it go? Oh, it must be in.
It's going to take us all the way up to June 21st, as far as our planning is concerned. Yeah, we're rocking into.
Let's see if it's in this pile. Where did I put it? I'm so professional here. Now I can't even find it. Whoa. Where is it? Not here. Okay, let's try this again. It's got to be in this pile somewhere.
It might be in one of your loafers.
No, I found. Yeah, right. I found it. A few years ago, we had a member of one of the most iconic power pop bands ever, and I don't think people who criticize us for overusing the word iconic couldn't possibly argue with this. But Shoes are definitely thought of as one of the greatest power pop bands, and they put out records for many years. We had Jeff Murphy of Shoes on a few years ago. Well, now we're going to have our second member of Shoes on June 21st, and that would be Gary Klebe of Shoes. Did John Borak just say something you don't want to show? Is that why you're laughing?
No, I just thought, a couple of years ago we had the left shoe. This would be the right shoe.
Oh, there you go. Well, I'll say one thing. he is the right shoe to have on now, because he just put out a solo record right here called Out Loud, on their own label, Black Vinyl, and it
Yeah,
certainly takes up where Gary Cleave left off, writing songs for shoes, very much in a similar vein. Maybe a little bit more stripped down and maybe a little bit more rockin', but those melodies and his voice are still strong as ever. So we're going to have Gary on. We'll play tracks from the album. Obviously, we'll talk about shoes and some of the other stuff that he's been doing over the years. Should be fun. And then on the 28th, we just got this gentleman in. We've never had a club owner on Material Issues, but, given that a lot of our listeners have played IPO or have attended it, and of course that's what I do, I want to get a perspective of a club owner and how the music, the changes, the vicissitudes, as Howard Cosell would say, of the music industry have affected his club and just the live music scene in general. But this is the owner of co-owner of the club Montrose Saloon, which we have now used for 5 years in Chicago for IPO. And he and his wife have been gracious enough to host me, let me stay in their home while I'm doing IPO Chicago, which has been a great help in so many ways. And he also, what is this? Okay. Bell Fury's Working Man's. Are they fans of the Dead, or is that just coincidence?
No, I've heard the Bell Furies album. It's really good.
Let me write this down, as they say. Bell Furies. All right, I'll look that up. Yeah. Working Man's Bell Furies. All right, cool. Well, thank you, Louis, for that recommendation. At any rate, where was I? All right, Eric, our guest, was also is in a few bands right now. He's in a band called Penthouse Suites, which is SWEETS, and the Bon Mots. A Bon Mot, it's French for clever remark, and they're certainly a clever band. They did a show at IPO that this year, just blew me away. He's also in a band. He plays bass in a band called Who's This Mary? Just a really cool guy. Was a lawyer as well, so definitely a Renaissance man. A man that musicians in Chicago truly love. He definitely knows how to cater to musicians in the way he runs the club. Eric Cheel is his name, and he's a very bright, witty guy. But more than that, as a club owner, I think it's important that musicians or patrons understand just what club owners have to go through to keep afloat. It's a tough business these days. Original live music is falling by the wayside to tribute bands and to DJs. That's what a lot of clubs are going for, because it makes more money. Let's face it. People want to see tribute bands. They like knowing what they're going to hear. They want to be able to dance to it. Same with DJs. These are songs that they know, or even if they don't know, they could probably dance to. And live original music, people don't necessarily know what they're going to hear. They don't know if they're going to like it. And so sometimes they become reticent to go to those shows. So it's a challenge. But thank God for people like Eric, who own clubs, who are in bands themselves, who know how important live original music is, and they keep booking it. So we're very, very grateful. So I thought it would be nice to have him on the program. So June 28th on Material Issues.
Man, it takes us all the way to July. Wow.
It's all the way to July, and I have somebody else right now that I'm going to line up, I think. We've got a lot going on Material Issues, and we really are grateful to all of you who listen, especially those of you who stay on with us for the entire duration. And our durations have been getting long. They won't all be like this.
Now we're changing the name to Marathon Issues.
You really should.
Thank you. We'll see you next week. Yeah.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, we'll see you next week, either for music and Beat the Bash or for Morley Bartnoff. And if we don't have him on next week, we'll have him on the following week. So either way, we'll get him. And everyone, thank you again very much. Have a great week and weekend, and we hope to see you next Sunday.
Yeah, indeed. It's been it was an absolute pleasure having Cal Everett.
He was great.
.com.
He was great.
Check it out. If you missed this episode, you're just tuning in right now late. Go back to the archives at materialissues.com. Watch it, listen to it, pick up the new album by Cal Everett.
Episode 254, and if you've got the time, episode 95.
95.
Love
Karina.
Love to Chesanotti. Love to all the porn stars out there.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.